Cool. I think I finally got it set up. Yes, sir. I think so. Cool. And I think you guys can see my screen because I can see my own screen too. I don't have any sketchy apps open. I think I finally got it set up. Wait 1 second. Just heard myself talk. Don't have any sketchy apps open. Not that I have any to begin with, but cool. Yeah. Hey, how are you doing, guys? I've been wanting to do this sometime over the weekend, but didn't have a chance to. So I'm doing it right now. Doing a stream right now. So hope it's not too late. It's around almost 9 p.m. Eastern time, but I figured we'll see who hops on, and we'll just have depending on if there's a lot of people or not, we can do one thing, or if there's no one, we can do another thing. We can do a lot of stuff. The world's the oyster. So I've been lately. So if you guys want to talk about something, just like throw a topic in the chat. I'm open to anything. Lately, what's been on my mind as of today actually has been this like forest fires. There's been a lot of forest fires in Ottawa, especially, and it's actually surreal because we haven't had a air quality that was this bad since like 2013. So it's pretty wild seeing all the smoke in the distance. I've always thought Ottawa was immune to smoke, but I guess it isn't. Or immune to forest fires. That seemed more of like a West End thing, but here we are. I guess it's more of a North American thing now. But yeah, check this out. We are at 174, which is unhealthy. Everyone may begin to experience health effects. Ugh, jeez. It's not fun. Yo, what's up? The real X1RS. Yeah, so this guy clocked in at 184. This is 176. Yeah, this one. See, the fact that this is getting a bit more purple is not good at all. 184 is pretty high apparently. So we're here, I would say, getting a lot of fires. So yeah, we're just experiencing the brunt of that as it's passing through towards Ottawa. And also, I think I'm not sure exactly where the other fires are, but they're heading down towards Toronto. Although it's not as bad there right now, I don't think. And I guess some of the smoke is making it to Montreal, but as you can see, it's not as bad. Yeah, I don't know. It's just that's what's been on my mind lately. So it's kind of been a little had a hypochondriac moment where I was like, oh, I don't know. Felt like the smoke enter my body, and felt kind of spooked by it, but whatever. It's chilling on my balcony, kind of probably acknowledge that it is what it is. Yeah, other than that, air quality seems to be decent south of Ottawa. Although we have a 433 over here, which is kind of, Jesus. Look at that. Oh, that's no good. That's no good at all. Ugh. Yeah, we got forest fires. We have forest fires like basically all along this like Great Canadian Line. I don't forget what it is. Like the line where Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto sit. And I guess some other neighboring U.S. cities. A lot of them have been engulfed in flames. And the West Coast is actually like comparatively good right now. There's not really a lot. Whoa, what is going on here? Look at this. What's going on here? This is pretty bad. Jeez. 999. I'm not a fan of that. On a scale from 1 to 10, how devious would you say you are? Well, Tom Betty, I would say I am a 2 because I don't consider myself that devious. I don't think I'm that devious. I think I'm you get what you see kind of guy. Mostly. That's where the 2 comes in, not 0. Yeah, it's pretty wild, Yo, I was gonna say, I watched the See How It Goes series with my friend, and we liked it. Is there any particular reason it got discontinued? Yeah, it's like it was a bit too. Whoa, the air quality is getting to me, but it was a bit too. I found it was a bit too specific. I mean, at the end of the day, I just like kind of stopped really feeling it. I didn't really want to continue on with something that I wasn't really feeling, and I also felt like it wasn't going. It wasn't. It was materializing in a way that I was really hoping that it would materialize. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. Maybe one day I'll pick back up. I'll continue the See How It Goes series. Because I mean the conceptually, like, I think it's a good idea conceptually. It's just the execution. I don't think it was the greatest at the time. I think maybe if I had a bit more time to actually prepare to do it, and if I wasn't such a massive procrastinator. Because the other thing with that series is that I have a bet with someone where I have to put out a video. At the time, I had to put out a video every Wednesday, and by 12 a.m. I had to have a video up. If I didn't have a video up by that time, then I owed him like $100. And so I would procrastinate on that series, and I would just basically make a video. I'll start making the video like at 8 p.m. and I would just go as hard as I possibly could and post at 11:55. And I don't know. I don't know. Like I might continue one day, but it was a decent amount of effort. Are these forest fires caused by humans or just natural-made forest fires? The idea is that it's I think they're naturally made, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a guy just like flying around just like setting fires to the forest. Because if you think about it, it just takes like one guy, one crafty guy to kind of like really start a big fire. And there's like, there's hundreds of millions of us up in North America, so I mean the odds are, could be that someone's just doing it on purpose just to wreak some havoc, but I don't know. I'm hoping it's that case. If it's climate change, then that would be truly horrific. But I don't know about forest fires in like Europe, for example. I'm not sure if they have a lot of forest fires. If not, I'd be curious to know why they don't have as many forest fires. Is it like the geography, or like what is it exactly that makes North America a bit more attuned or a bit more susceptible to having forest fires? Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of like weird 999s here. Whoa, 1857. Jesus. Okay, let's check that. Check this place out. How do you click on this? Why is it so bad? Like, what is this? Like, this is like 5 times the hazardous level. It doesn't look that bad. They have a water slide. Yeah, it doesn't look that bad. It's so weird. Hmm. Interesting. Are you a scientific realist? I need to look up that term again, just so I can answer that properly. Primarily a view about theoretical science, according to a classic form of scientific realism, the unobservable theoretical entities postulated by scientific theories are real. I mean, like, I guess. I mean, like, it really depends on what you mean by real. I mean, I guess I gotta like kind of dive a little bit deeper into scientific realism and see like, because like, I mean, at the end of the day, science is just like a practice to kind of, I think, like refine our knowledge of the world and to try to come up with the best best explanations for things that we see. And so far it's been really successful, right? The whole methodology has been really successful, but I wouldn't be surprised if, if there exists something outside of us, like if we are nested in like a universe with certain laws and there's something that's outside of that universe that that kind of goes beyond the bounds of science. So I don't think I'm strictly a scientific realist. I'm kind of I think I'm like agnostic to this, I would say. Like I'm more like, well, like I think I think I'm generally a scientific realist in terms of like in practice. But I think like if you were to get into the really nitty-gritty philosophical kind of view on it, I would really think I don't, I'm kind of abstain. I would probably lean more towards like this being not as relevant if you kind of zoom out and kind of consider the entire universe as and a multiverse and everything that exists as a whole together. Like, do electrons exist? Oh, do electrons exist? I guess so. I mean, electricity works, right? So it must exist to some extent, right? In some way. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm curious to hear what you guys would think. Like, if electrons didn't exist, what is the alternative? And what would you mean by exist? Okay, let's look at this. Arguments for and against scientific realism. Main argument is that it centers on the notion that scientific knowledge is progressive in nature and it is able to predict phenomena successfully. Yeah, so basically that's like the main kind of that definitely does make sense in terms of like the main as a main argument. No miracles argument, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So like the no miracles argument is basically like if you jump from your apartment, you're probably like there's like gravity's not going to stop working. Basically, like you've kind of run the test so many times that you stopped in midair, but Yeah, so that's the no miracles argument. Okay, pessimistic induction. One of the main arguments against realism. Argues that the history of science contains many theories once regarded as empirically successful, but which are now believed to be false. Yeah. Yeah, let's. Well, I mean, like this pessimistic induction can kind of be built into the no miracles argument to an extent. Like you can kind of apply the pessimistic induction to gravity itself, because pessimistic induction is basically like, oh yeah, so you develop a theory for science, but there's no way that you know that it won't become, like that we're just lacking something, like we're lacking some fundamental understanding of the universe, or like lacking a piece of the puzzle. Um, like we could always just be like missing some element that could negate a theory. Um, but really, that's kind of like I would say pessimistic induction is just it's just kind of like a symptom of, or like just a byproduct of doing science in general, right? Because like you kind of have to, like the whole point of science is like you kind of you're trying to, like if you have a bunch of theories about something, you're trying to figure out the theory that's like that makes the most sense and that has the most, that doesn't fail. Basically, you're trying to get the theory that works the most amount of times, and then that's the one that you would kind of go for. Um, and then it's conceivable that theory that won could then get bypassed or overcome with something else. But I think it's like in practice, people are like, oh well, how do you know that something doesn't exist, or how do you know that people are very philosophical about like the concept of science, but then like you realize that like computers and phones exist. So to some extent, like even if philosophically it could be flawed, we still have we can still put together the components to the extent that we can create all these miracles, right? Like create your laptop, like your AC, and like be able to like do all these cool things around us, like drive a car. So I think this is like this is something to keep in the back of your head, but I think it's still not like practically it's not like a relevant thing. I wouldn't say. Haven't checked the comments. Hello, Nate. How's it going? Cult of Camden. I think the theory of electrons is underdetermined by the evidence, so I am skeptical. I don't even remember when I said miracle. To be honest, I don't remember that. Does my neck hurt? No, it does not. Um, can you guys remind me like what I've used that word, like what context I used the word miracle in? I literally forget what I was saying. I was kind of in a stream of consciousness mood when I guess I was talking. I wasn't recording myself as I was talking. Um, but I think like so the theory of electrons is undetermined by the evidence, so I'm skeptical. So like, the whole idea of like, like there's a argument to quantum mechanics, right? Like where we are not like the reason we see the laws kind of differ at such a low level is because we don't have the tools necessary to actually it's a problem with our tools as opposed to like an actual like as opposed to just like the laws being fundamentally different. And that could be true, right? Like, but yeah, this is cool. Okay, so we got through the two main ones. Constructivist epistemology. Wait, what? Right. Okay. You mentioned miracles in the context of affirming the reliability of inductive reasoning and scientific explanations. Yeah, I still don't remember what exactly I said. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm bored. Let's keep going. What's naive realism? Oh, yes. This is what I'm talking about. Yes, guys. I love this. Naive realism is the idea that the senses provide us with direct awareness of objects as they really are. I don't know. I don't like the. I don't like the word naive though. It should be based realism. You see, what you see is what you get. You know, so then you get like a blind guy being like, "Oh, color does not exist. Color doesn't isn't real," and he starts like arguing with a guy that can actually see color, or can actually see. No, this is really cool. I really like naive realism. Although I think there's probably more than what it's trying to show on the surface. Yeah, meow meow. I remember when I was a kid, I I I had a tooth that fell out of my mouth, a baby tooth, and I put it under my pillow, and I remember I had this very vivid dream of Tinkerbell coming into my room, and it was just so surreal, and I was like so convinced it was real. I came to school and I told everybody that fairies were real. I'm like, fairies are real. I don't know. I think I was in the first or second grade, or I was like really young, and all the kids were like, "Nah, fairies aren't real," and I was like convinced. I was convinced. And I mean, if I, because I'm a naive realist, I still subscribe to the view that I did see that fairy. I saw the fairy, and no one can tell me otherwise. I think Bigfoot is a very 80s thing, a very 80s vibe. When I think of Bigfoot, I think of like E.T. I don't, like, is there, like, do people even, like, when's the last time people have seen Bigfoot? Like, this could be, first of all, this could have been a bear or something. Yeah, no, I think it's over for Bigfoot. And because I've never seen Bigfoot, as a naive realist, I don't think he exists. Sorry. Do you think kids have a greater connection to the spiritual, maybe? I mean, actually, I think I find like as an adult, the older you get, like it's kind of a unsettling thought, right? But it's like when you think of like old people, 80 or 90, how they've suddenly reached a stage of being of dementia. It didn't happen in one fell swoop, right? They didn't just become that, right? And when I think of the state of dementia, what kind of like occurs to me is kind of like it's like it's like you're kind of very far away from your screen. When your screen is like your perspective of life, right? And then you're just kind of like losing touch of reality. That kind of that's kind of the vibe I get. And I think as I'm getting older, and I look back to when I was a kid, things were definitely more emotional, and the world seemed definitely way more important and way more real. When I would look at my hands, for example, my hands would look like very like my hands. And now as an adult, the older I'm getting, I'm more like, well, I'm still part of this world, but I can feel myself like, not dissociating, it's not like the right word, but I can feel myself like becoming more mechanical, maybe less spiritual is what you're, I guess what you're trying to say. It's probably the neuroplasticity settling in as well. So yeah, but it's oh, the Hat Man. Okay, the Hat Man. I've heard of the Hat Man, but I've never really never really gotten into the Hat Man. So there's an actual movie about this. Hat Man. Oh, actually, okay. Yeah, I kind of get this vibe. I kind of see what people are trying to say now. It's like I don't feel like I've ever had a dream about the Hat Man, but I feel like I have. I feel like at some point I must have, and maybe I just forgot. But this seems like very visceral. Just like looking at this picture of the Hat Man, feels very visceral. So I can kind of see, yeah, yeah. Although it might be just be like the silhouette, like the black silhouette superimposed on like this like really kind of old and old background. I'd be getting when I was a kid I used to get like this kind of guy over here. Like a shapeless kind of figure. Hat Man would win probably. Yeah, that's true. You can just throw his hat at the other guy. He has like an extra weapon. The people who most frequently encounter the Hat Man are children. People who go through trauma and people who take DPH, which I don't even know what that is. What is DPH? Don't take DPH. It's not worth it, by the way. Oh, you're trying to steer me away from something interesting, are you? What's DPH? Diphenhydramine. Diphenhydramine. Interesting. Oh, okay. So this is like... So this is like for both allergies. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, I mean, maybe potentially I could probably take that if I was sick, if I was really sick. I mean, I kind of I like the I like to take the holistic route and not really take much and just drink tea when I'm sick. If I really get a really bad headache, maybe Advil. But this could like this is interesting. Like if I really needed to, if I was really sick and I really had a bad. You have to take a lot of it to trip on it, but it has terrible side effects, and it's a very bad trip. Interesting. Well, I is it people that talk about abuse here? Oh yeah, recreational use. Mm. Oh yeah, classic. Oh, it's the active. Interesting. All right. Well, the more you know. Cool. All right. All right. So we talked about what were we just talking about? We're talking about the Hat Man. Now we're talking about DPH. And at first we were talking about social or scientific realism. We're on a roll here, guys. Oh, um, what do you guys think of like Apple's new Vision goggles? It's called the Apple Vision, Apple Vision Pro. I watched a couple videos about it and it seemed like pretty interesting. I don't know. I feel like a lot of these companies have been pushing these goggles, and like Meta has been trying to push. I forget what the goggles were, what they're trying to push, but they're trying to push some goggles. I think um, now Apple's in the goggle game, and I think Google has Google VR glasses. I think it's called Google Glass, if I'm not mistaken. That's crazy, man. Have you ever tried DMT? No, have not. Thoughts on Yudkowsky? What is that? Uh, he's an American artificial intelligence researcher. Friendly AI. Oh, that's a topic. Wow, cool. So he is he, or is there any are there any particular views that he has that that's distinct to this guy? Father of modern rationality. Cool. Do you have any oh, rationality writing. Okay, okay, perfect. Okay. So between these years, Yudkowsky and Robin Hanson were the principal contributors to Overcoming Bias, a cognitive and social science blog sponsored by the Future of Humanity Institute of Oxford University. Um, okay, so it doesn't really. explain a lot. Okay, let's go on Reddit and see what people say about it. That's cool. So this guy developed basically like his whole framework of trying to, I guess, understand what is true and what is not, basically. Yeah. So this is yeah, this is really cool stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that is really cool. I actually I was into trying to figure out like what a belief was for a while as well, and like how do you, because say like you see something, right? How do you go from like seeing what you're seeing to actually believing? Like I don't know, like believing in God, for example. Like that's a very like there's people that believe in God, people that don't believe in God, and then there's also the other third camp that of people who are like they don't believe nor disbelieve in God, right? Agnostics. It's very interesting to see like whenever you talk to someone who's religious, how they got to that, how they actually like justify themselves like or justify the idea of God, and it's interesting equally. It's very interesting. Um, and it's also it's really interesting as well. Like I find like when um, someone even if they're atheists before they like become, there's a high chance of them becoming religious because I think emotionally they want to believe that God exists, right? Um, and so like beliefs seem to me like it's a thing that it's a it seems like almost like a subconscious thing. Like it's hard to make yourself believe in something. Um, Overly convenient excuses. Yeah, so this feels like, yeah, so this seems like, for example, if you're very neurotic, you would be more susceptible to this kind of, this point over here. Yeah. And that gets in the way of like, actually trying to do some truth seeking. And also, I remember in my cog sci class the first year, I remember my professor said something that kind of like struck me. He said that, I mean, I don't know if this has been debunked now or whatever, because it's been like 7 or 8 years or something. But he said that like most of our political opinions are genetic, which is really, which I don't know if that no. There's studies done that like for example, woman if you look at it from like a one dimensional axis, right, or left versus right, it's there's studies done that women typically lean more left generally than men are, right. But it also depends where they are, right. Like if people, for example, in California typically lean way more left than people that live, for example, in Texas, right. And so there's also a culture component. And so when he said that it is a genetic thing, I was kind of taken aback. I didn't really know what to make of that. I don't know if that's even true or not. I've never really made any deep digging into that issue. So. Against doublethink. What is this? Anyways, this is cool. Thank you, Jeremy, for this. Yeah, meow. I think there's a lot of factors that go into it. I just yeah. Um, yeah, one second. I want genetics and political views. And we'll also do gender and political views. So it's a study from '97. The gender gap, differences in political attitudes and social dominance orientation. Yeah, so it says it's an old study, but TLDR, male support of more conservative ideology, military programs, and female support of social programs and equal rights. So this is more, yeah. So this is generally like, yeah, it's men are more conservative, women are more progressive. That's kind of the vibe. This is just a list of articles. Okay, almost 40 years ago, evidence from large studies of adult twins and their relatives suggested that between 30 to 60% of the variance in social and political attitudes could be explained by genetic influences. Okay. Yeah, so maybe my professor was just full of shit. Or not full of shit, but I was taking, was using an old study. But how old is this study? Oh, 2014. Okay, so yeah, so this is, my class was in 2015. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so basically, yeah, it's not really a thing that's it's been proven. Sherry, wait 1 second. Yes, so Jeremy, that leads to women being slightly more left and men being slightly more right. Yep. Sherry, are you going to keep doing these streams? I enjoy hearing your thoughts. Yes, I will. It's very easy to just pop in once in a while and just talk with you guys, and it's fun to do these things. So I don't see why not. I'm thinking maybe even more than once a week whenever I'm just feeling up to it, maybe even more. And I don't know I mean, you guys are probably busy, so I don't know if I'm gonna like make a definite or scheduled time for a stream. But if you guys really want to do a scheduled time for a stream, or have any particular preference, I'd be down to try out a scheduled kind of thing as well. Meow, what was your major? I did computer science. with a minor in philosophy. So that was me. My major was up, dog. Damn it. That's such a good major. How do you? It sucks, man. Our university didn't offer that. Thank you, Kiara. Thanks for hopping on the stream. Cool. All right. Okay, I wanna find one more article with that talks about the genetic influence on political ideology. So, genetics and political views. Yes. Okay. On the genetic basis of political orientation. This is 3 years ago, so relatively new. Ideology is about 40% heritable. Okay, that's still extremely high. Okay, I want to just look at the conclusion. I want to see what are the findings. Oh, you gotta like buy it. Oh my god, I love it when scientific articles are gatekept. The genes of left and right. Okay, here we go. Yeah, interesting. There is a slight genetic difference. I wonder what the sample size for that is, though. I mean, I'm assuming if they actually published this article, then they probably vetted the sample size. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I mean. There's so many genes. Like, how do you even pinpoint what genes are at play for what kind of? I mean, like how do you test for all the genes and then form an aggregate to actually form a an actual opinion or you even say that political beliefs are genetically affected by genetics. Yeah. So it's just what we think. So openness to experience. We commonly think that all liberals, all the leftists are open to experience, and people that are very conscientious, people that are, very kind of very schedule focused, industrious, orderly. They're more conservative, but it's probably just like more of like cultural phenomenon that doesn't really. I got a bug on my computer. Get this bug off. Get off, please. Bug, get off. Here we go. Cool. Okay, I want to try to see if I can get the chat actually side by side like this. Might be better. Here we go. Cool. Let me just double check how the stream is looking. Okay, here we go. Perfect. I don't even know what bug it was. It was kind of big. It was like an inch long. It was like this weird. It looked like a very miniature dragonfly. Cool. Yeah. Okay. I think everything looks good. Utilitarianism or deontology? What do you guys think? Would you pull the lever? Okay, anyways. Back to the genes of left and right. Okay, do not, yeah, okay. Personality, changes in personality over a 10-year period do not predict changes in political attitudes. Okay. Is that it? That is the entire article. Okay. So basically, they said like this article is basically like, oh yeah, it's too deep into this. I just kind of wanted to see what this article's saying. Oh my god, I'll have to read this over later. Yeah, basically you can't separate the factors of a person's environment and the fact that like a person genetics, so many genes at play as well. It's hard to kind of pinpoint what percentage of the genes accounts for the political leaning. And also, I think people that are saying it's 40%, I really don't think that's the case, because like it's not like New York City, for example, is a pretty big metropolitan area with everyone has like different genetics there, right? And everyone is pretty, like, everyone is different there pretty much. So, and the people there are considered liberal or more progressive, right, than people that from other states, states that could also contain a pretty diverse number of people. So I don't know. It's I don't know what else to say about this. Yeah, some people say it's 40%. Like there's an article that said it was 40%, but then later it was disputed and people are kind of unsure. Previously, people thought it was 40%. One article actually on the stream said that it was as high as 30 to 60%. I think it's probably in the ballpark. If I had to guess, like 10% or something. Maybe even, I don't know, like 10%, maybe, I don't know. If you live in a progressive place, you'll probably be more likely to be progressive. If you live in a more conservative place, you're more likely to be conservative. So, anyways, we've been talking about this topic for a while. Well, thanks, Kiara. Are your political beliefs similar to your parents? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I'm not sure. I've never really talked to my parents much about their political beliefs. I made my mom a leftist. The more I talk to her, the leftier she gets. Cool. It's good. It's good when parents listen to their children, right? Are your political beliefs similar to your brother? Not Dreg, but the other guy. Who's the other guy you're referring to? All? What is all? Immensely curious about the single Google. Everything kinda, yeah, so this is everything kind of related to anti-philosophy, forming a document on like a bunch of ideas, like trying to find intersections between like philosophy, schizophrenia, and there's a bunch of other couple things that we're trying to like figure out and how they're related, which was really interesting. I'm still on the anti-philosophy kind of vibe, and I've written a lot personally about it. So ideally, one day, hopefully, like years from now, maybe I'll compile a small book of my ideas on anti-philosophy, because I think there's not enough on the internet about anti-philosophy, actually. And I find anti-philosophy very interesting. The Wikipedia page is very small. It's not a lot. There's not a lot about it. So it's and it's very relevant. I think it's very relevant because it's people that do philosophy are not really. It seems like for me, a lot of the people that do philosophy that get really into philosophy, they're like. So a lot of the time, it feels like they're almost missing the point of it, right? Which is, if you're, so it's. So when you're doing philosophy, I feel like if you want to actually do true philosophy, you got to be like, okay, well, I feel like you gotta counter it. Yeah, one bookmark is crazy though. I compile so many web pages. I had a bunch of bookmarks. I unpinned them, like a while back. So I was just too OCD. I think philosophy as art is a lot more useful than trying to see it as a source of indubitable truth akin to science. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it really depends on like what philosophy really is, because people can't really define what philosophy is. I mean, there's a lot of like different perspectives as to what philosophy is. Like if you were to Google philosophy, for example, like, okay, for example, say you're taking philosophy 101 and they're gonna be like, what is philosophy? It's a study of fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence, especially when considered as an academic discipline. And okay, if we were to look at this, quite literally the term philosophy means love of wisdom. In a broad sense, philosophy is an activity people undertake when they seek to understand fundamental truths about themselves, the world which they live, and their relationship to the world and to each other. I find it's like, I think yes, but I also think like, you could also say that philosophy is a lot of other more things in this, right? It's like kind of missing, like, it's hard to establish a or define philosophy like easily, right? In terms of like with reference to like just like easy to understand ideas, I think. Because there's so many things that could be a philosophy, right? If you love wisdom so much, why don't you marry wisdom? Yeah, I guess true. Yeah, why don't you? It also looks like love of wisdom. It's kind of pretentious. Like, okay, what is wisdom? Let's define wisdom, okay? Is the ability to contemplate and act productively using knowledge, experience, understanding, common sense, and insight. It's basically like an adage. An adage, you use someone says like, oh, teach a man to fish, they will be, or give a man a fish, he will, what is it? Give a man a fish, he will eat for one day. Teach a man a fish, he will live, he will be hungry, he'll be full forever. Like those kind of adages. The problem with wisdom is, I think Zizek was talking about this. He's like, he hates wisdom because it's very like pretentious, and it kind of applies to, like towards situations that kind of already happen, like post hoc. So like, like something might have happened to you. You're like, oh wow, like you take a risk, for example, and it pans out. So there's gonna be some wise guy who's like, oh yes, all the risk, you take risks, Life isn't anything but without risks. And say you take the exact same risk and you fail, the guy will be like, oh, like you shouldn't have done that, or like, oh, you'd probably find a way to critique what you did with a piece of wisdom, quote unquote wisdom. So yeah, the definition love of wisdom, I guess it's not like it's I would it's not a I don't think it's a bad way to describe it, but it's not like that's not the best way you can describe it. A lot of what people call wisdom is a sweeping and generalization. You can say that a lot of things, like it's like science, right? Like you have a lot of things that are indisputable with science, or relatively indisputable, right? I mean, you can say that gravity's going to stop working, but like it just but like it doesn't. So that are generally true. Like. Like what is there? Let's go on Google. It always seems impossible until it's done. Never mistake knowledge for wisdom. Ooh, meta wisdom. Never mistake knowledge for wisdom. One helps you make a living, the other helps you make. It's very vague, because what if you're like kind of like, what if you're in like a soup of your own world, and you're like so locked into like the way things are, and you think like, oh, you think you're wise, right? And you decide to forego like an actual career because you think you have this idea of like you're supposed to live a life, but then things don't really pan out the way you think they do, and then you get like, you probably get angry, and I don't know, like the whole vibe, I don't know if I'm communicating this, the whole vibe of wisdom is what kind of makes it immune to criticism, is the fact that it's so like vague, right? It's like, you kind of read it, like the whole vibe of wisdom is like you read a wise quote, and you're like, oh yeah, it's very true. And then it kind of even has that like, that feeling, you read it, you're like, wow, like this is true, right? Like this is so true. Like it's so serious, right? It's like indisputable. A fool thinks himself to be wise, but a wise man knows himself to be a fool. Yes. Yeah, exactly, Duncan. Yeah, I think so I think that's literally it, right? I think like you can literally tell a person exactly how their life is going to pan out if they do what they're going to like do, or like if for example, if a person is doing something that's like a bad habit, and you know exactly where it's going to lead, like because maybe you're down that road at one point, and you know exactly where it leads. You can tell the person all you want, you can give them as much info as you want, but the person's not going to stop until there's like a feeling within them that actually makes them want to stop. And it's not like something that's like a logical thing, like, oh yeah, like I never considered that. It's and then they stop. A lot of the time they do consider these things, they just don't really care because they have this kind of emotional drive that overpowers everything else, right? Hello, cutie pie. Who is this? Are you a secret admirer of mine? The older you get, the more wisdom you have because you've been through a lot of experiences. Yeah, exactly. It's like that Louis C.K. skit. It's like, is more wise than a 35-year-old with like 3 PhDs or something like that. Yeah, to an extent, for sure. Yeah. Say what you want about Louis C.K. That was I found that bit really funny, actually. I found that bit really funny. Like it's true. It's completely true. It was so absurd. But like, it was pretty true. Um, yeah, it's like you can't even describe it. You just kind of, I don't know. You get older, you kind of like feel like you're wiser, but then also like I don't know. But then you also get like old people trying to give you advice, right? And like it's completely outdated because the old person, like thinks of a world like a certain way, and so they're trying to give you like some advice um, that's like applicable to the world if you were living in the 50s. But Max canceled arc. Oh no. um, yeah, honestly, I don't care. I don't whatever. Um, and they themselves think they're really wise, right? Because they think the other thing is like when you get old, you start to like realize that like you've been through a lot, right? And you've just seen so many things and like but you've seen a lot of things from your perspective, right? The world seems to kind of go around in a circle or like and the same things seem to be happening to you and that's your perspective, right? And like if you're old, I think you can take that and you can infer like, oh yeah, I know exactly what to do from my perspective, right? And then if you try to pass that down to another person, it might not work, right? So I think if you're old and if you're like really hammering down a point to a youngin, right? I don't know. It could backfire. It could backfire. Because even if you've accrued all this wisdom, it could still be coming from a place of, you know, it's still be coming from a place of there are still general patterns in life experience you can definitely identify though. Yeah, exactly. Like that is, yeah, it's a vibe. Um, Sherry, I don't have any wisdom to impart. I'm 25. uh, nah, I don't have any wisdom. The key is not feeling like it's guaranteed. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways. Guys, I haven't really eaten today that much. Like I've eaten a little bit of food, so only like a small breakfast. So I'm kind of hungry. Just thought I'd squeeze in a stream here. I guess I'll talk a little bit more. How do you feel about being on the precipice of your late 20s? Yeah, yeah, that is very unsettling, Duncan. I don't know. It's very unsettling. Whenever I think about it, I'm like, oh, fuck. It's very unsettling. I don't know. But I don't know. When I was 16, I was really concerned about like death. Like I was 16, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. No. And now like as I'm getting older, I'm more like, I'm gonna die. And then I have regrets. I'm like, I should have. Like I'm like, I should have like done more of this when I was like in my early 20s. But then like, I also think I was pretty hardworking in my early 20s. Like I think I was relatively industrious. So, the fact that you try to do something, I think speaks like a lot of volumes in terms of like how you feel about yourself later on in the future. So, I don't know. Soon we will all pass away. Yes, exactly. In 5 years, when global warming really begins to go nuts. Alrighty, I'll end the stream now, but I'll probably stream in a couple days if you guys are interested in hopping on back on. Thanks again for hopping on and for talking on the stream. It's a delight. And yeah, I'll see you guys another time soon. See ya.